What's up? Uh,
What's good,
what
Dan?
up? No, what you were saying before about the Rogers clip, I couldn't come up when you were talking about it on the because I watched it. Um, Rogers went up to Garrett after the touchdown. He goes, "Yo, don't run away from me."
Yeah, I know. I saw
He
that.
goes,
I
"Yeah,
clipped it
yeah."
too.
He went up to him. He goes, "Don't run away from me. Why are you running away?"
Yeah, Anthony, I saw it on the field on the back on the end zone replay. Rogers was
Yeah,
he ran away. He didn't run away, but he's just like I'm at, and Rogers is like gave him the hand, like get the f out of here, and then
yeah, right.
yeah, like you know
No, because
why?
he went up to him on the
Yeah, and
sideline
he's
and
like,
they
why aren't
clipped
you
it.
celebrating? Like,
Yeah,
and then they
he's like,
embraced.
yeah, right. He's like, yeah, don't run away from me.
But the bad leader in Rogers, the guy that's a bad dude, actually went up to him. I thought he was. I thought he wasn't a leader.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, so I just thought that was. I mean, Garrett's a little. He is intense, but he's just a little
I do
bent
think, and Dom
sometimes.
said there is a level of intensity that kid has. That kid wants to be the best, and
No,
like
yeah, I
Yeah, he
like
what
it,
does.
but
I don't think he's not a malcontent, but he needs to be like he's a young buck that needs to be fucking put in his place.
He's
And,
a,
and-
he's
and-
a winner. He's intense, and you want that 10 out of 10 times rather than having fucking Mark Sanchez eating hot dogs on the sideline.
Yes.
and jokes to the point that you just said. That's what I said. That's where I was coming from. The fact that we think he's already elite and he's not elite yet. Not to say that he cannot become
No, he's
right
not a
now
elite,
top
he's
five.
but
right.
He's not a
Right
top
now
five wide receiver. He's a top
he's
10,
right.
15. He's
he's
got to
one
prove
There
it.
you go.
he's one B he's
There you
one
go.
B right now.
You
To be
go.
honest, if we're being honest,
No, I don't know. I don't know about that.
you know, you think he's 1A?
I think he's a 1A, but there's 32 teams in the league. So like most
Yeah.
teams
But
have a
yeah,
1A.
but
So
guys, you could still win with a 1B. Like you can win with a
no,
one B.
I'm not even you got to be honest, Petey, I'm not even entertaining that.
Okay,
I'm not.
I'm saying it.
Personally. Yeah, I don't think he's a 1B.
Not right. I don't either. I'm just saying the Jets can win right now with this team. It'd be nice to add an Adams, but you mean to tell me the Jets can't win with this team?
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is there's a lot of teams that have a 1A.
Yeah. The Jets, listen, jokes. Why are teams trying to take Garrett Wilson out? They're afraid of him. He's a 1A. There's no
Yes,
doubt.
correct.
Right.
You're not bracketing a guy who's their number one wide receiver, but isn't a top 15 player in the league. You're not bracketing him every day. You're just not.
Augustine, go ahead, man. Good morning.
Uh, Good morning,
Good morning,
PD.
bro.
June. Good morning,
What's
everybody.
up, man?
I wanted to ask you, about your game against the Broncos. What do you think will be the best, game plan for your offense, to exploit that defense? As far as I have seen, the Broncos might be like a very well balanced defense. They allow around 125 rushing yards per game, and they allow about 150 passing yards per game. So I think it's around a well balanced defense there. But I wanted to know, like, what do you think would be the strategy for the Jets offense there?
I think the Jets, got to play their type of ball. Mix in Braylon Allen and Brees Hall. Spread the ball out. Play good defense. Make Bo Nix beat you. And, play the Jets will have the home crowd in their favor. And just, I don't care about a blowout victory, folks. I don't. I don't.
I think I think you have to assert the running game. You have to make that the the game plan. Like let's just run down their throat.
Yep.
You have to. Their secondary
Don't
is
you
pretty
think the
good. Like
defense enough? Uh,
What?
don't you think the defense is skewed because of that Steelers game now?
Who, Denver's?
Don't you think?
Well,
Yeah,
you could say the
yeah.
same thing for the Jets against San Francisco, but they were off. Well, you can't. No, I can't do that. I'm sorry, guys. No, I didn't watch that Denver
Listen,
Steelers game a lot. So
There was,
listen, Denver's got a good defense, and
Yes,
Denver
they.
does a good job. Denver does a good job getting at the quarterback. Again, I think it all goes to, and I think it was Petey or somebody, or maybe it was June that said it. Um, you got to force them. You got to force them to make decisions. You got to force them to bring guys up in the box, give you, get and set up the matchups one on one that you like. Again, they're weak in the middle of the defense
That's
against the run. They've now lost two middle linebackers. That's going to be a big soft spot. I think you're gonna see the Jets, I hope, will be able to impose their will on the ground. And when you do that time after time, you're going to bring safeties down in the box, and that's going to open the opportunities one on one for Garrett, one on one for Lazard, one on one for Mike Williams. You're going to be able to force those mismatches. The Jets' offense is going to go as far as the cohesion on the offensive line. As long as the cohesion on the offensive line continues and their running game is dominant, it opens up everything for the Jets offense. I
I
don't
just
think
hope
that.
I just hope the line is still in sync with Fashanu
I
there.
think it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean that's it. Listen,
Go ahead, Dom.
it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. I'm not saying it's. Listen, I'm confident that Olu's gonna that Olu will be fine, but
Yep.
he's a rookie, and he might have some. Um, he might have some situations where it's going to be difficult. They might have to give him some help at some times,
Growing pains.
right? I don't know how many games he's going to play. I don't know how many games he's going to play, but he's
At
getting
least
thrown into the
two,
fire.
Dom.
You got
He was mainly left.
JFM and Bonito this week. JFM and Bonito this week lined up against him.
Dallas Turner next week.
You got
Jonathan Cooper too.
no. It's Grenard. It's
Oh,
Grenard
what?
next week.
Dallas
Grenard
Turner
lines
only
up on
plays
the
one side.
left side.
So does he have right tackle experience in
No,
college, or
that's
was he
that.
mainly
This is the
left?
point I was going to make. And Dom, I'm glad you brought Fashanu up. By the way, for the everybody kind of destroyed the Jets in training camp. Oh, why is Fashanu playing right tackle and getting reps? Well, this is why. So, to me, the Jets coaching staff and management did an awesome job with that. So, for all the stuff they get killed on, that's a compliment towards them. Number two, real quick, guys. At 9:30, Antoine Staley will join to talk a little Jets Broncos. If you're in here, please subscribe to YouTube Jets Commute. We would appreciate it. We're live on YouTube as we speak right now, and if you want to listen to the recaps or whatever, they won't be on Twitter. They'll be on YouTube. So tune into YouTube Jets Commute. Go ahead.
and to answer Jay's question, I believe his freshman year in Penn State, I think he played a little bit of right tackle, and then they moved him to left, and he stayed there ever since. Um, I think you're going to see a lot of 12 and 13 personnel and a lot of runs to the left side against Denver. That will be wise. Stephen A. Sanchez, what's going on? Good morning, my brother.
Good morning, fellas. Good morning, good morning. I want to talk about my man Wilson. I think Wilson has a little bit of like the personality, the type, like Stephon Diggs, like Terrell Owens, that type. That's like, how dare you not give me the ball every single time? I'm always open. Um, I think what my man said is true. He's not used to taking a back seat. He's not used to being told what to do by the quarterback. He's been telling the quarterback what to do. Um, but there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's nothing wrong. Excuse me. I remember Terrell Owens with a bloody ankle, in the Super Bowl, catching like 13. He almost won the Super Bowl by himself, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. Um, Keep going, keep wanting to be great, keep wanting to eat. I don't think there's nothing wrong with with the way he plays or his style. And And I don't think that that Rodgers is kind of, like, trying to down him in any way. He knows how great Wilson is. He said it. They're blanketing him. They're making sure that he has you know double help. The corner has help at all times. So it's okay. It's gonna open up for him because everybody's eating right now. And the second thing is, what I like to know is, you guys were talking about Adams. Everybody keeps talking about Adams. I was in another space, and the Ravens are also talking about Adams and how good he would be and how much he's needed on their team. What team do you guys think would be more complete if Adams went to either or?
Can you guys hear me? Hello? Can anybody hear?
I got
Good
you,
morning,
PD.
guys.
All
PD, you
right.
good?
Edie, good morning.
Good morning to
Yes.
everybody. I can hear you now.
Yep. Go ahead. You got it, Chris. You
Although,
got something?
yeah, no, I'm actually, I see, I'm looking at it. I'm waiting for Hex to finish. I know last thing, Hex had asked a question, so I was gonna wait for a sec. It's up to you.
Well, he's in speaker form and listener. I lost the space for a minute. I don't know what happened.
Oh, okay. Uh, I see he kind of dropped down. First off, good morning to everybody. How's everything? PD, what's happening?
Good.
June, if anybody can hear me. Real quick, I heard you guys discussing inside linebackers, especially inside linebackers for the Broncos. Really, the question that I have for everyone, how much would you utilize a backfield, uh, Allen and Hall, especially in the pass game?
How do I feel?
Now, how much would you mix that in,
Well, you got to.
specifically because I don't want to say they have an issue and speak them into a great performance. I'm sure the next man up will be great, but I know Dom had mentioned that they've lost what, two inside linebackers this year already.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, um, best goes out to speedy recovery and all that. Um, but the next people up, if I'm not mistaken, could be Cody Barton, Christian Welch, uh, could be Quan Alexander, Zach Cunningham, a mix of all of the above. Again, and because I know you guys were talking about Garrett Wilson. Okay, so I'm just thinking out loud. How much would you put them in a situation where you have Brees Hall and Braylon Allen on the field in a passing situation? Now I know you already know what PS2 is going to be on Garrett Wilson, right? Is that going to leave you Jaquan McMillan and Riley Moss?
Yeah, Chris, to answer your question, I would at least have 10 plays at least of both of them on the field at least. It's working because they don't know who to cover, you know?
And they both
So,
can catch. Yeah, I would I,
yeah.
I would try to do as
And
much as
and and
possible.
and especially when you put Brees in motion, Chris, look at what happened to play with Brees going to the right side and then Rodgers, flicked it to Allen and he scored against Tennessee. They confused them. So, that's what I would do. I would play at least 10 snaps. I doubt, who knows? What do I know?
Good morning, Mark.
What's up, Mark?
Hey, what's up, fellas?
What's going on, brother?
I'm good. I just had a couple minutes, so I figured I'd pop in, see what you guys are talking about.
Uh, just Antoine will be in about 15 minutes. We'll talk some
Oh,
about
nice.
the game and, last week and this week, and whoever's going to the game, enjoy it this weekend. And Mark, you and June, awesome job this week as always. So,
No, thanks.
yeah.
Appreciate you.
What a pleasure
But
for Antoine, by the way, to cover a team that's winning. Like, how nice
well,
is that?
well, finally. Yeah. I don't think Brian Costello's seen a lot of positivity.
None of these guys have. I mean, if you look at, dude, none of these guys have. The history's been terrible, but that's the thing. That's why, I mean, whatever. I don't want to rail against same old Jet fan mentality again, but like Rogers could care less. He's got a winning pedigree. He's got a championship pedigree. He's the reason why. That's the reason why you brought him in. He doesn't care about the other shoe dropping and about you know ongoing negativity and fan base being overly critical about this. Like he doesn't give a shit. He wants to win. He's
Yep.
expecting to win.
Mark, did you
He's trying
hear
to
that?
infect the culture of expecting to win and expecting to dominate throughout the locker room. If I'm
Exactly. Mark,
listen, man, it's there. If the Jets can stack a couple wins like this with Rodgers playing like this, man, it's going to strike fear not just into the division, but the conference and the league. Period. This is exactly why the fuck you brought Aaron Rodgers to town.
yep, Mark, did you hear Rogers after the game when he said, this fan base has been tortured and we're trying to, change things around here? Did you hear him say that? Because he did say that after, I believe it was the Patriot game.
Yeah, I did. I did, and I look. There's a difference, I think, between showing respect to it and the suffering and dwelling on it and fucking wallowing in it. And he could give a fuck. Like this guy wants to play and knows how to play winning football, championship football. We beat up Hackett. We're seeing a better version of Hackett. I don't know if you guys are seeing this, and everyone's like, "Oh, Hackett's trash," and I'm not saying he's great, but you notice like even with some of the play calls, like Hackett's starting to find himself in this because he's like setting up plays and he's actually looking better, and all because of Rodgers. Like he's having that effect and impact across. It's hilarious because we watched the week one like debacle on defense, and it's like, oh, the Jet defense. People couldn't wait to say, oh, the Jet defense fell off. Look at them, all the talent's gone. Where's the rush coming from? All right, all right. So give it a couple weeks. Let the Jets play winning football. Let the Jet offense get some points on the board and watch what the Jet defense can do. We saw it 1 week. Let's see if they could do it again against Denver. Because one is an event. Like two, is that a trend? You know what I mean? Is three a trend? Like, I don't know. And there's a lot of young talent that hasn't necessarily played together on the Jets front. Like, they just need time on task. I'm excited about this football team. Whatever. Whatever. The naysayers can take a back
Mark,
seat as far as
you're
I'm
allowed to
concerned.
be excited, Mark. Speaking of positivity, let's get to Jones here because Jones is pretty positive. What's up?
What's up? What's up,
Good
fellas?
morning, brother.
Happy
Morning,
Friday,
Jones.
bro.
I don't think I'm positive. I think I'm pretty neutral on this team.
I
But
agree.
uh, one question. First off, what do you think the advantage the Broncos have? I think I know what it is. What is the advantage you think the Broncos have in this game? And then two, with or without Reddick, outside of Quinnen and Will McDonald, who can y'all see being the third pass rusher that finds his rhythm in these next 2 to 3 weeks?
I'm I'm
I
trolling
think
here, Jones. Hassan
the
Reddick.
later the later question, the latter of the two questions you asked, Javon Kinlaw has been a wonderful addition. I don't know if anybody else see it.
I
I think he
I,
had.
I agree. I think they I agree. They need to. I don't know. Are they gonna? They gotta send these linebackers, man. I think that's the key
Jones, they
right there,
have been
bro.
though. Let's be real. Like even the first.
Yeah, they
Sorry, I
have.
don't want to cut you off, but if just real
You good?
quick, the first play, the first series against New England, Quincy Williams blitzed in the gap and he forced Brissett to throw it out of bounds. By the
Hmm.
way, the backup quarterback, Kobe Brissett.
Can I comment on this one too
Indeed.
for Jones? And Jones, I know you know this. Like the toughest part, their best weapon is Sertan, right? Like his ability to lock down receivers, and then you can shift your coverage because they may not, they may or may not. I think they're still going to want to bracket Garrett. I still think that's wise because I think he's he is prime for a breakout game, and if they don't pay him the right level of attention, that's what you might see. Because I also think that Rodgers wants to find him. He knows that he's seen it 3 weeks in a row. He's like, man, they're really trying to zero Garrett out of this offense. Garrett's on his mind. You know what I mean? Like he knows that if he can listen, if you unlock Garrett, you unlock all the other pieces of the offense function better if Garrett is a big part of the game. So like Sertan, I think, has a big role. All eyes are on him in this play. And then Denver's got a couple linebackers hurt, right?
Yeah, Singleton. That's who I was low key nervous about because he's
Yeah.
nice. He's a good linebacker, but yeah, that's who I was nervous about. But the advantage is the coach, obviously.
Mm,
But Mark, real quick,
That's
Mark, what you were just saying. How about the drive where the Jets scored the touchdown to go up on San Francisco? Garrett Wilson looked like, I mean, he was catching everything. They were, you know what I'm saying? And then
hmm
I was jumping out of my chair when Wilson, every time he caught the ball, he had 3 catches on that drive. So,
I
go ahead.
I seen a stat saying the Broncos blitz their rate is the highest in the NFL. What do y'all think about
Oh,
that?
don't blitz Rogers. I mean, look, Fashanu is good in pass pro, right? That's the thing we heard coming out. So if they're going to try to exploit him on the right side in pass pro, good luck. And then
Yeah,
it's one
10
guy.
days
Oh,
is gonna
God.
help. My fault. I was just saying that 10 days. He got 10 days to build the chemistry. It wasn't just, he got thrown in, a week later. That I think that 10 days should help in the pass pro.
We've seen tackles also have a nice performance next to AVT, and AVT's been healthy and like a quiet success story of the year, right? So it's not like he's going to have a punk to his left. So I think it's. I mean, listen, with the linebacking core like this, do they lean more heavily on the run game than we're talking about? Is this the Brees Hall breakout game? He always does nice against Denver. Like, is that what we see? And Braylon Allen, who, man, I can't. God, man, every football game I love watching Braylon Allen run people over. It's so nice. I don't care if he just gets another 3 yards or whatever, man. He smacks a corner and hits a safety, and the guy he pancake. It's so nice to watch, man. I love that style of football. So, yeah.
Tyler Conklin game maybe with the linebacker injuries too.
Yeah, how about him flashing in this? Well, listen, if Garrett is a great decoy in the offense, is that really bad if they're playing winning football? I don't care. I don't care about numbers and stats. The only number I care about is the win. So play winning football. If teams are if the plan is for teams to try to nullify the Jets by nullifying Garrett Wilson, in my opinion, that's a failing plan. What you really want to try to do is create problems and pressure and make Rodgers uncomfortable. Like you want to frustrate Rodgers. That's the thing. Listen, I remember last year. Do you guys remember this? We had the Cowboys guy on, and we were talking about it, and we were talking about like keys to. Was it Kyle Yeomans? I want to say, PD. Who's the guy? You
Yes.
remember?
Yep.
Yeah, and we were talking about the matchup. The Jets were prepping to play. It was like well before Rodgers was hurt. We were talking about the matchup against the Cowboys and trying to stop the Jets as a team. We were asking for keys to victory. The only thing the guy could talk about was Aaron Rodgers. Like, folks,
Yep.
it's not about like bottle up Brees or like bracket Garrett or like protect, like, find a way to nullify, Lazard. Fuck all that. It's Aaron Rodgers. Find a way to stop him. That's how you deal with the Jet. But that's difficult, dude. Teams have been trying to do that for as long as the guy's been a pro.
Hey,
He's the
Mark.
problem.
Mark, can I ask y'all a question? I had forgotten this earlier. I'm glad you brought up Garrett Wilson. It has to do with him. How often would you play him in the slot? I guess the one thing that I'm first trying to figure out is Patrick Surtain II going to be following you? If he's following you and you're in the slot, again, I hope I have especially Mr. McMillan's name correct. Jaquan McMillan and Riley Moss, who they like a lot. Okay. How often are you putting 6'5" Lazard out there and 6'4" Mike Williams out there? I mean,
Chris,
in certain
Chris, I'll take that
situations,
matchup.
and again, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud.
Chris, I've seen Moss struggle against big body receivers. So if Garrett's nullified by Surtain, give me Mike Williams on Moss.
And
I'll take, maybe this is his game.
Mark, can I just bring something up? Chris, by the way, thanks. Chris was the co-host this week during the morning. Thank you for helping this week. Shout out to you. Mark, perfect guy to mention. Where did Mike Williams play his whole career? The AFC West. Who are the Jets playing this week? The Denver Broncos. I think Mike Williams knows a little thing or two, Mark and guys.
Yeah,
Good point.
cool.
Medic, go
That's
ahead.
really cool.
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Happy Friday, brother. Thanks.
Good. To kind of go off Mark's point, I remember weeks ago, before Aaron got here, we were always like, "Oh, if Garrett Wilson goes down, we got no receiving. We got no receivers."
Yeah, yeah.
I've been on high on Conklin since day one. I think that man's a great tight end. Yeah, you know what? He missed a block here and there, sort of record, but that shit happens. But overall, he's a good tight end, and he showed that last week. Because without him and those extra yards, the game might have been a little different. So, everybody needs to kind of Garrett's going to get Garrett. Garrett's going to get his balls. It just might be a little bit of a connection thing. Obviously, Lazard knows Aaron Rodgers well, so he's going to feed him when he can in situations because he knows, and he knows what to do when Aaron's in trouble. So that's just playing together. That's what that chalks that up to. I think our receiving core is going to be just fine.
Agreed.
I think our defense is going to eat this week. With Denver, we make good quarterbacks look pedestrian. So what are we going to do to a rookie? So I'm not too worried about it. Rodgers is going to do Rodgers things, and we're gonna come out with a victory this week, no doubt.
Totally agree with you, man.
I think the wide receiver core is looking just fine because I was part of what happens if Wilson turns an ankle and the difference is that Rodgers is playing better. He's exceeding expectations.
Absolutely.
And early in the year. And I know it's one game and that it's a limited sample, right? But if he does it again against Denver, look, man, this is the version of Rodgers you get. If you could keep the man upright, this is the version of him you're going to get all year long. I'm not saying he's going to play whatever 118 passer rating football game in, game out. But if he starts playing whatever top 10, top 5 quarterback football for the Jets and the offense starts peeking into the top 10, no one was expecting the Jets to field the top 10 offense.
Yep.
It was more, oh, you know what? We all said it, Pete. We were like, oh, 60%. Just score more than 20-something points a game because your defense is only allowing, sub 20 points a game. That's how we were all, they're going to run the ball. That's how we were kind of thinking about it. What if he starts fielding an explosive offense week in, week out? And it doesn't even, I'm not even talking 30, 40, 50 points. Who cares? You know what I mean? I'm talking good, enough points that it applies pressure to an opposing offense where they feel like they need to pass to get back in the game.
Oh, Mark, they're
because
going to
now
do
they
it.
know how to blitz. Because now they know how to blitz.
They're going to do it, Mark. So I forgot what I was going to say. I had something I was going to bring up. Damn it, Mark.
You're going to cook me on fashioning? You can do that if you want.
No.
Okay. I know it's coming. I'm trying to get out ahead of it.
No, it might be saved. So,
Okay. All right, I'll wait.
but
You
yeah,
should say it now because what happens if he has a, I don't think he's gonna have a dud against Denver, but if he has a dud, I'm not gonna hate the listen, I don't hate the kid. I really don't. Like I think he's the
listen, this
best
is what, but
he's the
Mark,
best
this is
backup in football, dude. He's
this,
great. And now
but
he's
he's,
thrust into a starting role.
but Mark, they drafted him for this type of reason, Mark. That's the thing. Like they drafted him to
Yes.
be the guy. So, listen, Tyron Smith's been beyond excellent. You know,
Yes.
he's been everything as advertised. And speaking of everything
He's awesome.
advertised, Antoine's in here. Good morning, Antoine. Thanks for joining. How are you?
All right, what's going on?
Good,
Good
good.
morning, brother.
Morning.
Antoine, real quick, thanks again for always joining. Appreciate you. Antoine, like, what is it? I mean, I obviously the vibes are high, but do you see how the Aaron Rodgers effect now is rubbing off on all the Jet players?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I kind of talked about this during spring training, training camp, where, yeah, I mean, he just, he's changed the standard. I think I wrote about this a few times too. Like, yeah, I mean, once he got traded in 23, I feel like from that moment on, it's just really, the team started to believe that not only could they, contend in the AFC, but they felt like they, could win a championship. So I definitely think just the fact that his presence alone and just the fact that he's had so much success in his career, and I think that's just rubbing off on everybody in the locker room. So yeah, I think for the last couple of years it's been like that. Although obviously last year was kind of devastating with the injury, but this year it's given them new life and meaning, and I think the players are just really reflecting what Aaron is also trying to guide them to, and which is the promised land, really. So yeah, I definitely see
Yep,
that.
Antoine, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to let June and Mark ask because June, I stole a couple of June's questions with a guest the other day, so I want to. But Antoine, my one thing, and I'm going to get Mark upset here, man. Yes, I saw what you posted. What a sad day in Oakland, man. What a tremendous crowd that showed up for a baseball game. And I mean, Oakland was a part of our history growing up, Antoine, with, Canseco, McGuire, all those guys. I saw that. I like that you posted that, man.
Well, yeah, I went when they played when the Jets played the 49ers a few weeks ago. I ended up going because I was like, yeah, might as well say, goodbye to the ballpark. So it has so much history there. Whether you just talk about baseball, obviously, which you alluded to there, especially the '80s. I feel like the A's were kind of the it team there with obviously the Bash brothers and Dave Stewart and a lot of those guys there. And then obviously, when the Raiders came back in '95, then they started to have a little bit of history even before that, before they moved to LA briefly. So yeah, it's a lot of history in that place. It's sad that um, they wasn't able to maintain it there. I think it's a lot of people are to blame for it. I don't want to necessarily get into all that, but yeah, it just sucks that now you're going from Oakland to a minor league baseball park for 3 years, and then eventually Vegas while that's being built there. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of the A's there in Vegas. I imagine it'll probably be very tough to kind of gain a fan base there, sort of what you dealt with the Chargers moving to LA, sort of the Raiders moving to Vegas there, probably type similar there. You try to just gain an organic fan base there in Vegas, especially considering everything the A's have been through, and the fact that some people don't necessarily aren't happy about the stadium being built on the strip of Vegas too. So you have to also keep that in mind.
June, go ahead.
Antoine, thanks for joining us as always, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Quick question. This has been a topic for the last 24 hours, so I just want to know what your thoughts on it are. Is What would you rank Garrett Wilson as? Is he top 10, top 15 as of right now?
I mean, I don't think he's a top 10 receiver, but I think he
Thank
could
you.
be. I
Thank you.
mean,
Thank you.
I think he has the talent to be. I mean,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do. I mean, uh, I think top 15 to 20. I think that's about where he is right now. I don't think it's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that might
Thank you.
upset a few Jet fans, but I mean, we
Thank
need to
you.
see it. We need to see it like throughout the course of a full season. I mean, I think Garrett is a tremendous receiver, has a lot of talent there, proven it with inept quarterback play the last few years for the most part there. So yeah, it's just about you're going to face these tough matchups, especially in a row. Another one this week with
Mm-hmm.
Pat Surtain, and then next week with the Vikings, and then after that, then you got the Buffalo defense, and then Pittsburgh, and
Mm-hmm.
Stingley coming up, and yeah, you got to be able to win
Mm-hmm.
some of those matchups too. But also, I think part of it as well. The chemistry between Aaron and Garrett is also still trying to work itself out too. But also, you got to give credit to the defenses too. So yeah, I think there's a lot that goes into it when you talk about the chemistry and the lack thereof that has been the last few games with Garrett and Aaron. But I'm not concerned about it right now. It's only going into the fourth game there. But if we're talking like a month from now or more than that, and it's still Garrett continues to have low numbers, then maybe it's something more that we can talk about there. But I actually asked Hackett that yesterday, and then he didn't seem too concerned about the lack of production from Garrett Wilson, at least at this point in the season.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Love it.
Yeah. Antoine, before I get to Mark, so to that point, going off of that point, did you see a problem with what Garrett did after his touchdown? Because if you see the replay, you see Rodgers basically throwing his hand like, all right, you don't want to celebrate. And then one Jets drive played after the celebration, like Rodgers like joking with him, saying, "Come on, man, why are you running away?" Do you is that what do you think about that whole? Is it just Garrett's competitiveness? Like, all right, I scored, mother effer. Like let's go, and he's just in his zone, or what do you think of that?
No, I mean he just walked away. I mean it's not like he did anything bad. I mean he just walked to the sideline. I mean Garrett is a very passionate guy. So I wouldn't necessarily take anything. I would take anything like that personally. If I was a Jets fan there, he just wants to win, and then he's been some bad situations the last couple of years, and I think that's really affected him. I mean you have to remember last year after the season he called it the worst year of his life. Whether it's you agree with it or not, or you feel like he's being ultra dramatic or whatever. That's how he felt, and that's how you have to take it as for face value. But yeah, I mean, I think he's a little frustrated at how things have gone. I think he thought he'd have a little bit more production than what he did. I think 15 catches is solid, but the 150 yards receiving in 3 games, I'm sure it's not something that he would like to have, and he would like to have more of it in touchdowns. So no, I don't think much of it at all. I just think he's a very passionate guy that's just trying to find ways to get better. So no, I don't think much of it at all.
Mark, go ahead.
Thanks, Pete, and thank you, Antoine. Always, man. You're so
Yeah.
gracious with your time. Really appreciate you, man. Um, Hassan Reddick. So I know we don't know much. I know, man. Like we don't know much, and it's and I want to frame this the right way, the question the right way. So, do you think what do you think is more impactful for Hassan Reddick in his decision making? Do you think him and his agent are like watching the play on the field and seeing, oh, if the Jets are suffering greatly from pass rush, I could like crank up the money I'm asking for? Does he care about that? Or is he just like is the man just entrenched in this is what I'm worth, this is how much I want to make, and the Jets lowballed me with an offer, it's insulting, and so I'm just gonna sit. And now we're seeing reports floated, oh yeah, you know what, maybe hey guys, just trade me back to the Eagles. And then it's the Eagles problem again, which the Eagles had a chance to like what is weighing more on Hassan Reddick's decision making? The play of the Jets on the field or the fact that just Reddick wants his money?
I don't notice 100%, but if my guess was, it's just he just wants to be paid. I mean, he just turned 30 years old. I get it from his perspective because I mean, you look at the last 4 years of him playing, he outperformed. I mean, he should be one of the highest paid pass rushers in the league. But the fact of the matter is, he was still under contract for one more year. Um, obviously the Jets went to him with an offer. He decided to decline it, and then they decided, you know what, hey, we can try to work on something when you get here. And, he decided he didn't want to do that. He wanted his money up front. So I definitely think it's more or less the money. I'm sure, obviously, if the Jets pass rush and, defense wasn't performing well, I mean, that would be in his favor. But I don't think that's necessarily his view. I just think he just wants to be paid. He just wants to be paid. And then now I think we're in a situation where things have gotten ugly, and now we're talking about the potential him not playing at all, maybe this season too. So yeah, we'll see how it all shapes out. But I think it's more or less about him just trying to get paid and what he thinks he deserves.
Antoine.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Good. Pete.
All right, Mark. Antoine, on the spot right now, just a simple. Does Reddick play for the Jets this year?
Uh,
Wow.
I wouldn't hold my breath. I'll just say that I wouldn't hold my breath.
Sheesh. He's going to pull a Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, I would not hold my breath on that. So we'll see. We'll see. Because if he doesn't report by week 10, then his contract will toll over. But as I think Joel Corey also wrote about too, it could be a situation where they could legally try to take this to court and then try to become a free agent after the season. So we'll see how
Hmm.
it all plays out.
Well,
But
Antoine, real quick on that on that point, I'm sorry if you weren't done. But so if the Jets happen to retain his rights, just say for next year, does his playing time, does that go back to saying now that could go up to a second round pick if he does come here next year? Is that still on the table because he
no,
hasn't played yet?
No,
No,
no, that's not
unfortunately.
Okay.
how it would work. No,
No.
that's not
Okay.
how it would work. No, it would
Okay.
have. It's conditional for this year, so no, it has nothing to do with it. So no, that would definitely not be the case.
Fair enough. Thanks for that. I believe Chris and then Medic. Chris.
Petey, let Medic go first. I've spoken, and I'm gonna just repeat a question that I had asked all of y'all.
Medic, go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, Antoine? How you doing?
I'm all right. How you doing?
Pretty good. Listen, going back to the Garrett Wilson thing, being that he's been pretty much our star wide receiver for the last few years he's been here, do you think teams are zeroing on him as much, and then as the season progresses, when they start seeing other guys getting fed, they'll probably back off Garrett a little bit, and then that's when Garrett's going to have his breakout game, or start to trend that direction?
Possibly. I mean, you could possibly see that. I mean, it just depends on how the rest of the few weeks go there. But yeah, I mean, I think the Jets have a good problem to have. I mean, I think Mike Williams is starting to get more and more integrated with the offense. They're starting to get him more and more snaps as the weeks go on. I imagine it'd be even more this upcoming week against Denver there. So if he becomes a playmaker, maybe they shift the coverage a little bit there too. But I think teams honestly know how good Garrett is. So I think you're going to see the top cornerbacks in the league. No matter what team it is, they're going to decide to try to eliminate him and try to take him away, like you saw the Patriots try to do, like you see, the Titans tried to do it too as well. So it's going to be up to other guys like Brees Hall and Braylon Allen or Tyler Conklin, who had a really good game against the Patriots there. So it's going to be against those guys to try to get more involved too. And I think also having Alan Lazard, I think having the bounce back year at least so far that he's had, I definitely think it's really going to help too. So yeah, I mean, you can have. I don't think you can have too many weapons. It's just a matter of how you manage, the personalities that come with trying to make everybody happy.
Antoine, take Rodgers out of the equation. Who's been most impressive on the offensive side of the ball to you?
I mean, I wouldn't even say Rodgers have been the most impressive until like week 3. I think um, I think the offensive line as a whole. I mean, I know it's probably not the answer that people would like, but I think the offensive line has really done a good job for the Jets, especially considering all the trouble and everything they've been through the last couple years. So I gotta give credit to the guys up front. I think they've done a really good job there, keeping Rodgers clean, and they've been consistent throughout the first 3 games of the season. But it's still early. But yeah, I like the play of the offensive line so far, so I'll give it to them.
No pushback from me on that. I agree. June, you got something before Chris, or no?
No, no, no. I don't want to stop Chris. Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, Chris.
Good morning, Antoine. Thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us. I'm gonna re-ask a question that I asked the whole room offensively. First, how often would you line Garrett Wilson up in the slot? The second offensive question is how often would you have a backfield of Braylon Allen? And this is specific to I don't want to what's going on with the Denver Broncos inside linebacking core. How often would you have Brees Hall and Braylon Allen on the field at the same time?
It just depends on the whatever the defense and who I'm playing. So I don't know if it's necessarily a number to that or percentage, but it's just going to depend on the opponent. As far as Brees and Braylon, and then as far and then Garrett's probably the same thing too. It just depends on who you're playing, and but yeah, I think it's gonna it'd be good to just kind of move him around there, have him in the slot, have him, sometimes on the left hand side, have him sometimes on the right hand side. Just keep him, moving around there because sometimes some corners don't travel. I mean, some do, a lot of them do, especially the top flight corners in the league. But there's certain instances where, as Sauce, he wasn't the guy that traveled until really recently. So yeah, I would definitely try to take advantage of those matchups and move those guys to different situations and formations. So yeah, I think it's just going to depend on who they're playing from week to week.
Thanks, Chris. Antoine, I know you're pretty honest, when you answer questions. Has Salah been better now that he's been winning with answering questions from the media in your eyes?
I mean, I never
Or is
thought he
it
was.
this?
I never thought he was
Yeah.
bad to begin with. I just thought, maybe with the injuries, he kind of joked about that a few weeks ago. I mean, last week with Morgan Moses. But I think he's fine. I mean, coaches are gonna, say certain things. They're not gonna say certain things there. I mean, it is what it is. I've been doing it long enough to know that that's always going to be the case. So I don't find anything that Saba says to be, you know too bad or whatever. Like I know some fans have talked about him being cringeworthy at times, but no, I'm totally fine with talking to Robert, each and every two or 3 days a week.
Yep. Antoine, now with this whole Jalen Holmes guy, I mean, he's now been elevated 3 times, correct? So they have to have him on the roster right now. Do you know anything about that? Is that true?
In terms of well, I know like you can only elevate a player for so many times before, you have to have him on the roster.
3 times. Next week, Lakey Folk, who do you think's gone from the roster? I don't know if you want to. Is somebody like to let go of because of the Lakey Fotu incoming?
I mean, it depends on if he's ready. He might not be ready. So, I mean, that's also something to keep in mind too, as well. So, but right now, yeah, Holmes is actually on the roster. He's actually on the 53 at the moment. So, but so
Okay.
yeah, after he'd been elevated, so yeah, he's good there. But yeah, they could always send somebody down once he gets ready. But yeah, I hadn't got clarity on if Foker will be ready next week. But he is eligible to come off IR next week. That is correct.
Okay, so then he has 21 days, correct, from that time to play, or is that true? Like,
Well, well,
is
they
there
have
a window for that?
no. Once they activate him, then yes.
Okay, okay. All right, Antoine, did you do your prediction yet for the game?
What's that? I'm hearing like some echo or whatever.
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Yeah,
Antoine,
I
can
hear
you
you now.
repeat? All right, there
Yeah.
we go. Good, Petey.
No,
I said, did
no, I
you?
don't do. I never really do predictions for the game. Like I never, they don't ask me to, so I don't have to.
All right. Well, as somebody covering, I'm not at. But do you think? Would you be surprised if the Jets did not win this game?
Yeah, I would be a little surprised. Yeah, I fully expect them to win. Yeah.
Mark, do you have anything else? Because I'm in a bad zone
Yeah,
here.
yeah, just another quick one. CJ Mosley. So what's your perspective on the CJ Mosley? I know he's got what? It's a weird injury, right? It's like the front of his toe as opposed to full on turf toe. And then the surprising emergence of Jamie and Sherwood, even though, in camp we were hearing that there were days where Sherwood was looking like the best linebacker in camp. So what's your perspective on the starting rotation? I mean, I would think that if Mosley's healthy, he's the guy you put in there, but it's tricky because man, they looked faster and man, they looked really nice with Sherwood in there. So what's your perspective on how the coaching staff is looking at it? Will they defer to the vet and Mosley the second he's healthy? Or do you think they're all right resting him through Denver and you know what I mean? Like what's your sense of that? Antoine, did we lose you?
I'm here. You hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Did you hear
Yeah,
what I'm
I
asking
heard you. Yeah,
about
I
Mosley
heard you.
and
I heard the
Sherwood? Okay,
question.
sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it depends. Mosley talked about him wanting to be 100% once he hits the field again. So I think until that point, and when he feels comfortable, then you don't necessarily play him. And then when he does get 100%, then it's a good problem to have. I mean, you could put Mosley out there at times. You could also, put Sherwood out there in those nickel packages too. So it doesn't preclude you just because Mosley is healthy. It doesn't preclude you from using Sherwood in certain packages or certain instances too as well. So that's good that you have three capable linebackers that can play that role too, and also be a communicator there as well. And also, I think you're looking forward a little bit too as well. I mean, Sherwood could be the guy that eventually just takes over that spot full time, especially after this season too. So you definitely want to get him more reps there as well. So yeah, I definitely think it's a world where you can see both of those guys. Take that role and just kind of run with it there too as well. So that's kind of how I probably would handle it, at least early on there. But I imagine Sosa is going to be the primary guy once he gets back fully healthy. But it just might be another week. It seems like.
Antoine, can you hear me
Yes.
now? All right. So last question for me, and thanks again for joining. Can you see if Mosley comes back fully healthy that because he's usually on the field 100% of the snaps, same as Quincy Williams. Can you see Sherwood taking any time from him going forward, or do you think it stays
Well, yeah,
the
that's kind of
same?
what I was alluding to there. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to possibly split time and have some being out there in nickel packages at times. You'll have mostly Mosley probably, but there'll be some instances where you have Sherwood take that spot too as well. And it's good that Sherwood showed that he can be the primary play caller defensively there. And I think it's a positive. It's been positive so far, especially the second half of the Titans game there. I think the Jets defense played up to the standard that I think a lot of people expected them to at the beginning of the season. And then that carried on against the Patriots the next week, where they only allowed 3 points and less than 150 yards, too. So, yeah, I think it's a good problem to have. And I imagine they use both of those guys in those nickel packages.
Mark or June, do you have anything for Antoine before we go?
I have a last one, maybe to close it out, which is Antoine.
Yep.
I mean, this is the best quarterbacking performance I've seen as a fan in, man, God knows when. Distributing the football like this, script like off schedule, getting everybody involved, manipulating the defense, like incredible, incredible. Is this an outlier performance against New England because New England's bad, or do you think this is the new normal that we should get accustomed to watching as a Jet fan for for as long as Rodgers is upright?
I guess we'll see. I mean, I think we're seeing Aaron, get more and more confident. I think the first game against the 49ers, you're playing a really good defense there, and then you have to remember this is his first game in over a year, and then really he hadn't played an entire game prior to that since January of 2023. So before he was traded. So yeah, he was gonna have some growing pains. It was gonna be a little rusty there, and I think you kind of also saw it in the game against the Titans too. What I will say as well, like what I also enjoyed in addition to Aaron playing the way that he did against the Patriots, that I felt like the play calling was a little bit less conservative than it was in the 49ers and Titans game. And I imagine that continues too, especially now that Aaron showed that he was using his legs against the Patriots too. He kind of joked about that and the one Jets drive and talked about it's not bad for 40. So I definitely thought that was kind of funny. But also it kind of showed the signs that what we saw in training camp and what we were reporting, that he's gaining more confidence there. He's losing his legs. He's starting to look like a lot like the player that the Jets traded for in 23. So I imagine it continues, but also imagine it's probably going to be peaks, ebbs and flows too. It's going to be a roller coaster at times. It's going to be times where he probably doesn't look as good as well. I was still trying to gain that chemistry with with Garrett and some of the other receivers too. And it's also going to depend on the opponents, because you got some tough opponents in October, because it's a very tough schedule. I think, and we're going to learn a lot about the Jets in October, starting with the London game against the Vikings and Brian Flores defense, and then you got to play Buffalo, who's been probably the best team in the NFL, if not the AFC, at least right now in my estimation. And then you got to play the Steelers after that on the short week in Pittsburgh. So yeah, we're definitely going to learn a lot about this team on both sides of the football coming up.
Antoine, appreciate your time. Have a good week, and we'll
All right,
talk to you
sounds
along the way,
good. Thank
man.
y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
You
Great
got
stuff.
it.
Thanks, man.
Antoine Staley reports for Daily News for the Jets. Thanks for joining. Guys, again, if you're in here and you're not subscribed to YouTube for us, please, subscribe, hit the subscribe button. We're on YouTube live streaming every day. Shout out to the people that help, and you guys, the listeners, who create the conversation and all that, and the speakers, not just us. Mark and I and June can come up with a lot of stuff, but it's you guys too with bouncing ideas when Dom's speaking about something, when Chris is, even when other fan bases come in and give their point of view. It's good for conversation. So shout out to, the people that contribute to the space every day.
Can I say something on that, Pete? Which is,
Yep.
well, two things. Like, when the space is running the best, honestly, we look at ourselves as moderators. Like, folks come up and start, it's a great conversation. Folks share what they know, and then we're just helping move the conversation. We don't want to be the centerpiece of what's happening. That's the first part. And then the second part is, we understand folks are at work, and so they're hanging and listening and, can't listen. All of us had our first time talking in a space. All right. Never feel we're going to run all over you if you come up here and share what you're thinking, what you know. Like, the space thrives on hearing from everybody. We really do want to hear what everyone is thinking. I like having an idea of what the fan base is thinking about a particular player, the team, concerns, the rest of it. Like, we want to hear it. That's the whole point. So, go ahead, Medic.
And can I add to your point too,
Yeah,
real
go ahead,
quick?
Gene.
We pride ourselves in wanting, we want people to come up here and give their take. There's no such thing as a bad take, because there's all opinions. You know what I'm saying? We're all fans and we just all giving our opinions. So we don't want to call nobody idiots or
I don't know.
anything
Some of
else
Pete's takes are pretty
for their
dreadful,
take.
but he's the host. I don't like to push back, Gene. But
Well, I might call
Mark.
him
Yeah.
an idiot
Yeah.
behind the
All
scenes,
right.
but
Well,
we don't do it like that.
yeah. Thanks, Mark. So, yeah, you want to talk about bad takes about the backup offensive lineman? Okay. We could do that. Let Medic jump in.
Medic,
Yeah,
what's up, brother?
not much, man, not much. My concern is, man, I love Mosley, but like it just since the game and a half that he's been out, it just seems like the defense is moving so much faster now. And Sherwood's been doing a great job as far as I'm concerned, and what I've seen on the field and what the defense has been playing. I mean, maybe the San Fran game is kind of a bad thing to look at because it was kind of a total all fell apart in all phases in a sense. So I'm just concerned if Moses comes back, if things start to kind of go back the way that looked like the San Fran game. Like, what do you do at that point? Because then you realize you have an issue, and it's a player.
Yeah, Medic. Uh, this is a tough one because Mosley's the leader of the team, man. I mean, you can't just kick the guy to the curb right now. I don't think
No,
this is.
I
You
get
know
that.
what? I know. I want to revisit this because there's a lot to talk about with
I'm
this.
just really concerned with our
So
defense playing so well right now. If he throws a little bit of a monkey wrench in it.
yeah, but he is the leader. I just think Sherwood's got to be on the field more. And who do you take out? Do you take out a Chuck Clark? Do you take out somebody else? Like what do you do? That's why these guys get paid the big bucks.
Yeah,
Ulbrich and Sala and them.
it's
Guys, I want to get to
no. Go ahead.
Medic
Go ahead.
real quick
Now,
because I got to close up.
all right. Now go ahead.
Miss Rusty, it's great to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, Russ.
Good morning.
Go
I
ahead, Russ.
was
How are
actually
you?
up early today, so I was able to listen to the whole thing. And I just wanted to, and I noticed that this was never brought up, so I just wanted to say something about it. You know, the Jets have historically been very poor performers after they have a long period before they play. It's like every time, like after the bye week, they're just seem completely unready and unmotivated. And a lot of times when they have a Thursday night game, which wasn't all that often back then, um, again with the 10 days, they show the same thing. And I'm just wondering if anyone else is concerned that that might play a factor in the game that we have on Sunday.
Rusty, I was concerned and great to hear from you. I saw a stat Will Parkinson tweeted this morning. Aaron Rodgers is 13-0 in a, let me find it.
I
He's
also,
13-0 after a,
I found it too.
I
It's in the
believe.
jumbo in a second. You'll see it.
and you know, we've lost 8
Okay.
straight Thursday night games, and that was our first win in 8 games. So I mean, I
Oh,
got to trend this thing
here it
forward.
is. Aaron Rodgers with 9+ days rest in his career, Rusty. 13-0, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 295 yards per game. Pretty impressive. That's what Will Parkinson said.
And I agree
Hey, hey,
with that. But the one thing that I've seen is that the defense comes out flat when they have a layoff. And that has nothing to do with Rodgers. So I have that
facts.
concern still.
It's a good. All right, we'll
Let's get
table this. Let's see what
And I hope
happens.
I'm totally
Rusty,
wrong in
thanks.
being concerned.
You're not wrong. Why? Rusty, Mark and I were arguing the other day because I still have the same old Jet mentality still. There's a part of me that doesn't want to get ahead of this 2-1 start. It's only one game over 500. I'm trying to be positive as much, but in the back of my mind, and June's going to say, because I'm a Met fan,
because he's a
you
Met
know,
fan. Because he's a Met fan.
it concerns me. June, close us out because I do have to go.
All right. But before we close, real quick, me, you, and Mark, and Chris, if he's still here, over under 50 yards for Garrett Wilson receiving.
Over.
Oh
Mark.
man. Oh geez, I'm gonna say under. I think Sertan. I'm gonna say under.
Okay. Chris.
I had actually written down right here, 4 for 42.
So that's under. Medic, real quick.
I'm going to say under also.
I say under also.
Rusty.
Rusty, over under 50 yards receiving Garrett Wilson.
I say under.
Four.
Wow. So Pete's on a hill here.
Yeah, you're all by yourself there once again, Petey.
All right. Cool.
Look, we
Guys,
will bring this back up on Monday. Hopefully, he'll have it over. But I mean, I just feel like it's gonna be under anyway. So, everybody enjoy their
just
weekend, man.
win.
Stay safe, and that's the main. I don't care if he has 2 yards, as long as we win. I don't really care about that. But everybody
Guys,
enjoy
have a
their
great
weekend,
weekend.
man. Stay
Shout
safe.
out to the listeners. Rusty, thanks for coming up. Chris, Medic, Mark, thank you. June, thank you. Ground and Punt,
Dave.
Dan Moscow, Ron, Matthew, Mr. Sandy, what up? Some other people that came up, thanks for coming up. Jake, I see you. Have a great day,
Thanks
guys.
everybody.
Be well. Ciao.